Her executive officer, Lieutenant Marcus Chen, approached as soon as the airlock sealed. Orders, Commander. Set course for Earth. Maximum speed. Elena moved toward the bridge. And send a priority message to High Command. Tell them to initiate protocol blackout. Chen's face went pale. That's total war mobilization. Every resource, every factory, every person. Elena stopped and faced him. The Union just sentenced our species to death. Protocol blackout is the only chance we have. Tell Command we're on our own. Tell them the Union won't lift a finger to help. And tell them we have maybe 6 months before the Krell reach Earth itself. The Defiant Hope undocked and began accelerating away from the Union's Grand Station. Elena stood on the bridge watching the massive structure shrink behind them. It represented thousands of years of cooperation among species, a beacon of civilization in the dark galaxy. It also represented the greatest betrayal humanity had ever known. Her communications officer called out. Commander, we're receiving a private transmission. Text only, source encrypted. Put it on my terminal. Elena read the message that appeared. It came from one of the delegates who had voted green, though their identity was hidden. The message was short: your ancestors terrified us once, long before the Union approached you. Maybe survival requires becoming terrifying again. Good luck. Elena deleted the message but could not delete the question it raised. What had humanity been before the Union found them? What weapons and tactics had they abandoned to seem civilized enough for membership? What could they become again if survival demanded it? The news spreads. The journey to Earth took 9 days. During that time, news of humanity's withdrawal spread across Union space. Some species celebrated, claiming humans were too violent for civilized society anyway. Others expressed quiet sympathy but did nothing to help. A few voiced concerns about the precedent being set, but they were shouted down. Elena spent those 9 days reviewing everything humanity knew about the Krell horde. The Krell were an older species, perhaps 5,000 years spacefaring. They did not negotiate. They did not take prisoners. They consumed resources from conquered worlds and moved on like locusts. 3 human colonies had already fallen. New Horizon would be next. Then Aurora Station. Then Mars. Then Earth. Current projections gave humanity 3 months before the Krell fleet reached the home system. 3 months to build defenses that could stop an enemy that had crushed civilizations far older and more powerful than humanity. Marcus found her in her quarters, staring at casualty reports. The numbers climbed every hour. 15,000 dead at New Horizon. 22,000 at Aurora. The Krell did not distinguish between military and civilian targets. Commander, we're approaching Earth. Marcus said quietly. High Command is requesting immediate conference. Elena stood and straightened her uniform. Tell them I'm ready. And Marcus, thank you. For staying with me. For believing we have a chance. Marcus smiled grimly. We're human. Stubborn is what we do best. Earth appeared on the view screen, blue and beautiful and utterly vulnerable. Orbital defense platforms surrounded it, but Elena knew they would not stop a full Krell assault. Nothing humanity currently possessed would stop the Krell. But 9 days of isolation had given her time to think. Time to remember history lessons about humanity's darkest hours and greatest triumphs. Time to recall that humans did their best work when everything seemed hopeless. The Defiant Hope entered Earth orbit. Below, across 12 worlds and hundreds of stations, 8 billion humans waited to learn their fate. The Galactic Union had abandoned them. The Krell were coming. And humanity would have to save itself. The transformation. When desperation breeds innovation. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo had not slept in 48 hours. Her laboratory deep beneath the Sahara Desert hummed with activity as 300 scientists worked around the clock. On holographic displays surrounding her workstation, weapon designs rotated slowly. Most were theoretical. Some were impossible. A few might actually work. Sarah's specialty was theoretical physics, specifically the kind that most civilized species considered too dangerous to pursue. Before the Galactic Union made contact, humanity had been developing weapons that made their new alien friends very nervous. Particle beam cannons. Gravity manipulators. Stellar compression bombs. The Union had politely but firmly suggested these projects be discontinued. Humanity had agreed. But they had kept the research. Now, with the Union's betrayal fresh and the Krell approaching, every forbidden weapon system was back on the table. Sarah's team had been reactivated 6 hours after Commander Vasquez transmitted protocol blackout. Their orders were simple: build something that could kill Krell ships faster than the Krell could kill humans. Dr. Okonkwo, a young researcher named James Park, approached her station. The simulation results are in for Project Hellfire. His voice carried barely suppressed excitement. Sarah pulled up the data. Project Hellfire was designed around a simple concept: if you could not build shields strong enough to stop Krell weapons, stop trying. Instead, build ships so heavily armored that Krell weapons would not matter. Then pack those ships with enough firepower to delete enemy vessels at close range. The simulation showed a hypothetical human warship charging directly into a Krell battle line. Krell plasma tore into its armor, scorching but not penetrating. The human ship reached point-blank range and unleashed everything. 32 Krell ships died in 15 seconds. It would work. Sarah breathed. It violates every tactical doctrine the Union ever taught us, but it would work. James grinned. I ran the simulation 100 times with different variables. As long as our armor holds, we win close-range engagements 9 times out of 10. Sarah stood and addressed the entire laboratory. Everyone, listen up. We have our primary weapons platform. Heavily armored assault ships designed for close engagement. I want production estimates in 6 hours. I want prototype specifications in 12. We do not have time for perfection. We need something that works, and we need it now. Forging in fire. 2,000 kilometers away, in lunar orbit, Admiral David Okafor watched the first test of humanity's gamble. A small asteroid, roughly the size of a destroyer-class ship, had been hollowed out and equipped with basic engines. Now it descended toward the Sun. Not Earth's sun. Mercury's approach to Sol was too well-traveled, too visible. This test used a smaller star in an uninhabited system, far from curious eyes. The asteroid ship dropped closer to the stellar surface, entering the corona where temperatures reached millions of degrees. Conventional wisdom said nothing could survive such heat. Conventional materials would vaporize instantly. But humanity was not using conventional materials anymore. The Union had introduced humanity to standard starship hull alloys. Strong enough, light enough, suitable for civilized warfare with its rules and limitations. Humanity had used them for 30 years. Now they needed something better. The asteroid ship sank deeper into the star's corona. Special sensors measured temperature and structural integrity. The outer layers burned away as expected, but beneath them, something extraordinary happened. The experimental alloy, subjected to unimaginable heat and pressure, transformed at the molecular level. Atomic bonds strengthened. Crystal structures aligned. 3 weeks later, the asteroid ship emerged from the star. Its surface gleamed with a dark bronze sheen. Stress tests showed the transformed armor was 60% stronger than Union standard alloys. Heat resistance had increased exponentially. It would not stop everything, but it would stop most things long enough for human weapons to matter. Admiral Okafor opened a channel to Earth High Command. The process works. We can forge armor in stellar fire. I recommend immediate full-scale production. The response came from General Thomas Adeyemi, commander of all human military forces. Approved. Every shipyard is yours, Admiral. Build us a fleet that can win. The cost of survival. Maria Santos had worked in civilian transport before the war. She hauled cargo between Earth and Mars, living a quiet life that paid modest wages. When Protocol Blackout activated, the coalition had given her a choice: join the military effort or evacuate to safe zones and wait for the war to end. She chose to stay. Now she piloted a massive industrial hauler between asteroid mines and shipyards, transporting raw materials for the fleet that would save humanity or die trying. The shifts were brutal. 18 hours of work followed by 6 hours of sleep. No days off. No vacation time. The coalition had mobilized every able person, and everyone understood why. The Krell were coming. Either humanity built a fleet capable of stopping them, or humanity ceased to exist. Maria's hauler, the Persistence, docked at Shipyard Gamma. Through her view screen, she watched construction of something impossible. A warship 800 meters long, bristling with weapons, its hull made of metal forged in starfire. It was the largest human vessel ever built, and it was only one of hundreds under construction. Loading complete, her co-pilot announced. Next run is to Shipyard Theta. They need titanium and rare earth elements. Maria plotted the course. Shipyard Theta was building smaller vessels, frigates and destroyers meant to screen the larger warships. Every ship mattered. Every delivery brought humanity one step closer to having a fighting chance. Her communications panel lit up with a priority message from her daughter on Earth. Maria almost ignored it. Work came first now, but something made her accept the call. Mom, her daughter Anna's face appeared, looking tired but determined. I joined the manufacturing corps. I'm working on weapon systems at the Detroit facility. We're making the rail cannons for the new ships. Maria felt pride and terror in equal measure. Anna was only 19. She should have been finishing university, falling in love, planning a future. Instead, she worked 16-hour shifts building instruments of death. Be safe, baby. Maria said, not knowing what else to say. You too, Mom. Anna smiled. We're going to win this. I know we are. The call ended. Maria sat alone in the cockpit, staring at the massive warship under construction. Across human space, billions of people were making similar sacrifices. Parents and children. Husbands and wives. Friends and strangers. All working toward the same goal. Survival. The first launch. 6 months after Commander Vasquez's return from the Union, the first Hellfire-class warship completed construction. Admiral Okafor personally attended the launch ceremony at Shipyard Alpha. The vessel hung in space like a monument to human determination, 800 meters of angular armor and devastating firepower. The shipbuilders had named her Indomitable. Fitting, Okafor thought, for a species that refused to surrender even when the galaxy itself turned against them. Captain Jennifer Zhao stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, running final systems checks. Everything showed green. Weapons online. Engines ready. Armor tested and certified. The ship was ready for war. Okafor's face appeared on the main screen. Captain Zhao, you have the honor of commanding humanity's first Hellfire-class warship. Your orders are to proceed to the Outer Rim and intercept Krell scouting forces. Show them what happens when they threaten Earth. Jennifer saluted. Understood, Admiral. We'll make them regret ever pointing a weapon at humanity. The Indomitable's engines flared to life. The massive warship began moving, accelerating toward the system's edge where Krell scouts had been spotted. Jennifer felt the vibration through the deck, power thrumming through every system. Her crew numbered 400, all volunteers, all knowing they might not return. They had trained for 6 months in simulations, learning new tactics that would horrify Union strategists. Charge the enemy. Close to point-blank range. Unleash everything. Win or die trying. Helm, set course for intercept point Delta. Jennifer ordered. Maximum speed. Let's see what this ship can do. The Indomitable surged forward, leaving the safety of human space behind. Jennifer pulled up tactical displays showing Krell positions. 3 scout ships, each the size of a Union frigate, were mapping human defenses and reporting back to the main Krell fleet. Those reports would stop today. First blood. The Krell scouts detected the Indomitable when it was still 6 million kilometers away. They immediately began evasive maneuvers, their tactics refined by thousands of years of warfare. They expected the human ship to engage at long range like civilized species did, trading missiles and energy beams across vast distances. Instead, the Indomitable accelerated directly toward them. Krell weapons opened fire. Plasma bolts that could vaporize standard hulls struck the Indomitable's armor and dissipated. Particle beams carved glowing lines across bronze metal but failed to penetrate. The human ship kept coming. Jennifer watched the range counter drop. 4 million kilometers. 3 million. 2 million. Her weapons officer called out ready status on all systems. The Indomitable had been built for one purpose, and that moment was approaching. 1 million kilometers. Still closing. The Krell scouts broke formation, trying to flank the human ship. It did not matter. The Indomitable's engines pushed it faster, eating the distance between hunter and prey. 500,000 kilometers. Fire, Jennifer commanded. The Indomitable spoke with the voice of human rage. 64 rail cannons fired simultaneously, hurling projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. No shields. No finesse. Just overwhelming kinetic force concentrated on 3 targets. The first Krell scout exploded. The second lost its entire forward section and tumbled dead in space. The third tried to run, but a second volley caught it amidships. Metal tore. Atmosphere vented. Lights died. Cease fire, Jennifer ordered. The tactical display showed debris where 3 Krell ships had been moments before. Her crew erupted in cheers. Damage report, Jennifer called out, forcing herself to stay focused. Minor armor scoring on forward sections, her engineering officer reported. Shields at, we don't have shields. But armor integrity at 97%. All systems nominal. Jennifer allowed herself a small smile. The design worked. Human ships could take punishment and deliver annihilation at close range. The Krell were about to learn a hard lesson about underestimating humanity. Send a message to Admiral Okafor, Jennifer ordered. 3 Krell scouts destroyed. 0 human casualties. The Indomitable is ready for larger engagements. The fleet grows. News of the Indomitable's victory spread through human space faster than light speed. Morale soared. Production increased. Shipyard workers pushed even harder, knowing their efforts were producing weapons that actually worked. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo received the combat data and immediately began analyzing it. The armor had performed better than simulations predicted. The weapons exceeded expectations. But she knew one successful engagement meant nothing. The Krell would adapt. They always did. She called an emergency meeting of her top researchers. The Krell now know our tactics. They'll change their approach. We need to stay ahead of them. I want new weapon concepts, new armor configurations, anything that gives us an edge. The next 6 months became a race between human innovation and Krell adaptation. Shipyards completed Hellfire-class warships at an increasing pace. 20 ships. 50 ships. 100 ships. Each one forged in stellar fire. Each one crewed by volunteers who understood the stakes. The Krell responded by sending larger forces. Battles erupted across the outer rim as human and Krell fleets tested each other. Humanity won more often than they lost, but every victory came at a cost. Ships destroyed. Crews killed. Resources expended. Maria Santos continued her endless hauling runs, watching the fleet grow with each delivery. Her daughter Anna helped build the weapons that armed each new ship. Across human space, similar stories played out millions of times. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things because extinction was the alternative. Commander Elena Vasquez, now promoted to admiral, coordinated the overall defense from Earth. She watched tactical displays showing Krell fleet movements, calculating when the final assault would come. The Krell were patient. They would gather their strength, and then they would strike with everything. Humanity needed to be ready. Admiral Okafor's reports showed steady progress. 400 Hellfire-class warships operational. 600 under construction. If they could reach 1,000 ships, they would have enough firepower to stop the Krell advance and maybe, just maybe, push them back. But they needed time. And time was the one resource humanity could not manufacture.